So Ryan Day spoke to the media. He talked about the scrimmage and what came out of there, and I have a lot of bullet points here. So we're gonna get right to it. So I'm really happy first off that Ryan Day he didn't give a bunch of coach speak. He didn't just talk glowingly about the players of the team or the coaches. He said things to get fixed and addressed, and I'm not surprised by that. And it's really I'm really happy to hear that out of Ryan Day because coming off of a national championship season you would think that for some people, oh, is there going to be complacency that sets in? Everyone's just happy with what's going on around the program. No, not at Ohio State. I've always said as a fan, what separates Ohio State fans, what separates us from other fan bases, is that as soon as we get one championship, my first thought is, okay, well, how do we get the next one? And it seems like that's the same thing that's going on right now in Columbus. And so next, he says, the execution needs to improve on this team. Ryan Day, he is a perfectionist. He's always been that way. He's if since he's been a coach of the Ohio State, the number one word that he always uses is consistency, especially with his quarterbacks, which we'll talk about here soon also. But yeah, execution needs to improve. He said a lot done, but a lot to do. If I had to guess what he's talking about there, I think it mostly has to do with the quarterbacks. Probably also with the defensive line, even though he has some good things to say about those guys also, which we'll say right here. He said that with Edric Houston, being in and out of the line, in and out of practice right now, he got a little nicked up with his ankle the week prior. Of course, he is healthy, but he said that other defensive tackles have shown flashes with Houston being in and out. And as of right now, what they're trying to figure out is who can take the bulk of those snap counts and who can, show consistency, as we said earlier. Excuse me, on this team. Of course, we have Tom Malone, Jason Moore, Will Smith, and Eric Menza, also a young guy who's been showing some flashes also on the defensive line. And right now, I think this is more, I think, something that I'm looking forward to hearing more about, even more so than the quarterback position, because the quarterback position is going to work itself out. But with Ohio State having an early big matchup with Texas, you got to make sure the defensive line is set and ready to go. I don't think that Ryan Day is. I don't think he's really happy with where the defensive line is right now. Of course, he said he was going to have to go into the portal after the spring. And then coming out of it, he said, "Well, there was no one in the portal that he thought was better than the guys that he has already." So you can take that one or two ways, right? One, he knows that there's really good talent in that room, which we all know. On the other side of that, though, man, you still, the fact you still need to go into the portal, you have to see something come out of it. Guys like Tom Malone was a big addition out of the portal, out of Ole Miss. Guys like Jason Moore, top 100 player out of high school, one of the everybody wanted Jason Moore out of high school. Everybody wanted him. 6'6", 305 pounds. He's a massive man, but you just can't be a big player. You actually got to play big too. So yeah, really happy that he said though that guys are showing flashes. That means that guys are improving out there. Now let's move to the offensive line, which a lot of people are talking about right now, because it comes out that Austin Cerebell, Iron Buckeye recipient, this past spring or the spring into the fall this offseason, he was at right tackle. Now he's been moved to left tackle, and Ryan Day said that he's basically just there. That's essentially his spot to lose, and I don't think he's going to lose it. I mean, months and months and months ago, they said that Austin Cerebell is going to start no matter what. So from the left guard, being with Luke Montgomery, who I think is going to be a potential All-American this season, to center with Carson Hensman, who's being a lot of high praise, and I think he's going to be a really good player for us this season. Also, a great player, to be honest with you. It looks like those two spots and wherever Austin Cerebell is going to be is locked up. So the left side of the line is from left tackle to center is booked, which honestly over the last 3 to 4 years has been that's been a thing at Ohio State for some odd reason. The left side of the offensive line has always been set and ready to go. Now at right guard, you have Tegra. and that spot is actually not completely full. I mean, Tegra's been taking some reps at right tackle also. Ethan Anianwa has been taking some reps at right guard. That is actually interesting to me because I think that I've been pretty critical of Tegra over the last few years, or the last couple of years here, especially last year. And I think that when you look at Austin Servo moving to left tackle, and then you look at Ethan Aniawa taking some snaps at right guard, and mind you, I mean, guards are a dime a dozen in football. I mean, left tackles can play guard. Guards can't really play tackle. But I think that because Ethan is a really good athlete, he's good at left tackle. I think that they are repping him there because Ryan Day wants his best five out there. And also, I mean, my guy, shout out to my guy Cleve Mike. We've talked about this plenty of times about how Ryan Day wants his offensive linemen to have primary and secondary positions. And then you get the right tackle where Philip Daniels, transfer guy out of Minnesota, he's been playing his ass off this fall. That's the word on the street. And so now he's been taking most of the reps at right tackle, which I think is one of the reasons why Austin has moved over to left tackle, because they just want him on the field no matter what. So, I mean, if I had to guess right now, and mind you, Ryan Day did say that the starting five, including Tegra, he said those guys are still like they're good, they're fine. He also talked about Gabe Van Sickle and Ian Moore out there. And I think Gabe Van Sickle, by the way, he's a hometown guy for me, essentially out of West Michigan. I think he's gonna be a really good player for the Buckeyes. And I mean, last year, Dennis, he said that he's one of those guys that if he's a injury away from being introduced to college football into Buckeye Nation also. But as of right now, if you ask me personally, who I believe could be the best five for the Buckeyes, from left tackle to right tackle, I would tell you Austin Saraveld, Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman, Ethan, and Philip Daniels. Me personally, and it's not that I don't think Tegra is a good player, or it's not that I don't think Tegra could start, right? I think Tegra could start almost anywhere in college football, and out of all the 132 teams there are. But me personally, I think those would be the top five. Those would be the best five. I think that you can do a lot with those guys, and also when need be, you can still play Tegra. It's not like Tegra's an unplayable player. I still truly believe that Tegra is someone that can get on the field and be an impact player for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Moving on, he talked about the quarterbacks. He said that he compared this battle between Lincoln Keenholz and Julian Sand to Dwayne Haskins and Joe Burrow. Back in 2018, when Ryan Day was the quarterbacks coach, and he said, of course, and the reason he made that comparison is because of their skill set. And honestly, I do like that comparison. I mean, when you look at Dwayne Haskins, you look at a guy like Julian Sand, hyper accurate guys. Mostly guys that sit in the pocket. I would say that Julian may be a little bit more mobile than Dwayne was, but those are guys that you're looking at them. They're pure passers. Then when you look at a guy like Lincoln Keenholz, comparing him to Joe Burrow, of course, remember everybody, we're not sitting here saying that he's Joe Burrow, but you look at the skill set. I mean, they're guys that can get out of the pocket, they can run. I mean, when Joe Burrow first got to Ohio State, that one of the biggest reasons why Urban Meyer won him is because of the athletic ability that he had. So at the end of the day, I mean, when it comes down to it, and word is, probably hopefully by the end of this week, they plan on finding out who the quarterback is, and it would behoove of them to figure that out because, I mean, listen, we're 2 weeks away here, and with the different skill sets that Lincoln Keenholz and that Julian Sand have, you have to set you had to get that game plan ready. You have to get it ready for Texas. Texas, of course, coming in with one of the best front sevens in college football. One that I believe coming into the season is probably the best front seven. We still got to see what they have at defensive tackle, but shout out to my guy Matthew Miller. He's he's learned me a lot about that team. I think that we can't wait too long. We can't wait too long. I mean, last year we figured out the quarterback position in August 15th, I believe, and today we're looking at August 11th. So yeah, it's coming up close here. We're getting down to the season. We're getting down to the nitty gritty, and that needs to get figured out here soon. Now, when talking about the team just in general, Ryan Day said, the things about, when he was trying to just talk about the team, he said they're edgy, they're competitive, Again, like we said earlier, the coach told him that they look. He said they look really good and it looks different. Um, I one thing I think about this team. Now, can I say I'm not gonna sit here and like jump off of a limb and say this team is going to be better than last year's team. There's a lot that has to go into that. Now, do I think this team possibly has a higher ceiling? I would say, yeah, I would. I think at linebacker we're going to be better, which we're going to talk about here in the second half of this show. I think at corner we're going to be better. I think at safety, I mean, you have Caleb Downs, and listen, man, it ain't easy. It ain't easy replacing a guy like Lathan Ransom. It is not easy, but I do think the guys that are there right now will be able to. They have a chance to show and prove that they can be just as good as Lathan. You look on the offensive side, I think the wide receiver unit is going to be better. It's deeper this year. I'll say it's deeper. I think the offensive line is going to be better than it was last season since there were a lot of injuries last year to the offensive line, a lot of mix and matching over there, and thank God. By the time the playoffs came, those guys were able to play really good football. At running back, that's something we still got to see. When you have two guys like Judkins and Trey Hendo, and by the way, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Travion Henderson's already making a name himself in the preseason here in the NFL. Took the opening kickoff of the preseason for the Patriots back, and you can still see the flashes. That guy's just a special player. Shout out to Coach Locke for what he did with him. But yeah, like again, edgy and competitive. I think it's a good way to describe this team. When you have a young team, you want to see guys that can go out there and you look like they want to earn something. And I think for this Ohio State team, that's what it looks like. He also said going back to the offensive line, he said that this is the best that the offensive line, like in terms of the position that they're in, this is the best that he's had. This is the best, in terms, especially with the depth that we have at the offensive line. Again, bringing up guys like Ian Moore, bringing up guys like Gabe and Sickle. I think that I think for Ryan Day coming into the season, he said that the 5 starting guys are executing at a high level. I think this is the most confident that he's been in an offensive line going into the season. I think last year, I think had they stayed healthy, maybe, I think a little bit different. It doesn't really matter. We still won the national championship. But I think going into the season for 2024, it was still a question mark on what the offensive line could look like, right? So, you come to this year, you talked about the confidence of the interior of guys like Tegra, Carson, and my goodness, and Montgomery. They went against Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame. All of them had one of the best defensive lines in college football, especially Texas and Oregon. And they did really well against them. I mean, they mollywopped them. So they come in with that confidence. You're bringing a guy like Ethan out of Rice. And mind you, Ethan was one of the most highly sought transfers out of the portal. And of course, Ohio State got him over the team up north. So and then Philip Daniels also was one of those guys who out of Minnesota who's highly sought after also. So yeah, I think right now Ohio State's offensive line, I've talked about this plenty of times. I think this team is going to be one of the top 5 offensive lines in the country. I think there's a really good chance that this team can win the Joe Moore Award, which would be the first for Ohio State. And the Joe Moore Award is still a relatively new award, but I think there's a really good chance that the Ohio State Buckeyes will be able to win that. Again, I'm bullish on this offensive line. Shout out to my guy Mike. We've talked about this plenty of times. We think they're going to be a really athletic offensive line. We think they're going to be able to get up and upfield really fast. And I think with the running backs that we had this season, guys like C.J. Donaldson, guys like James Peoples and Lamar Bo Jackson, guys that are really athletic, really fast and